If you are a quick person, then skip this video to 123 or just scroll through the timelines. For centuries, people have tried to understand who Jesus Christ was, not only through religious texts, but through art, music, and eventually film. Movies, in particular, have offered a unique way for audiences to encounter Jesus, not through sermons or doctrine, but through story, dialogue, and human interaction. What's interesting is that filmmakers across different cultures and generations have approached Jesus with unusual care. Unlike fictional heroes, Jesus is portrayed as someone whose presence matters more than action. His encounters are often quiet, relational, and reflective rather than dramatic or forceful. In early cinema, many filmmakers avoided showing Jesus directly at all. Some silent films showed only his hands, his shadow, or the reactions of people around him. This wasn't because of technical limitations. It was a deliberate choice, rooted in for many viewers, Jesus was not just a historical figure, but a deeply meaningful one. Showing him too directly felt inappropriate. As filmmaking evolved, directors began to explore more direct portrayals, but the same restraint remained. One of the most respected examples is The Gospel According to Matthew, released in 1964. This film stands out because it follows the biblical text almost word for word. There is very little added dialogue, no emotional manipulation through music, and no attempt to modernize the story. In this film, encounters with Jesus are simple. He speaks, people listen, some follow, some question, some walk away. The camera doesn't tell the audience what to feel, it simply presents the interaction. This approach allows viewers to observe Jesus as people in the first century might have through words, pauses, and moral challenge. Another major portrayal came in 1977 with Jesus of Nazareth. This production took a different approach by expanding the story into a long, detailed narrative. Rather than focusing only on major events, it spent time on relationships. Jesus is shown speaking gently with his disciples, listening to questions, and responding calmly to misunderstanding. Encounters in this film feel conversational. There are moments of warmth, moments of tension, and moments of silence. The focus is not on spectacle, but on how different people respond to the same figure. Some are drawn in, some are cautious, some are threatened. The film reflects the gospel accounts by showing that Jesus did not force belief, he invited reflection. In 2004, The Passion of the Christ offered a very different kind of encounter. This film focuses almost entirely on the final hours of Jesus' life. Dialogue is limited. His encounters are brief, intense, and emotionally heavy. Scenes between Jesus and Pilate, Jesus and Mary, and Jesus in the crowd are portrayed with minimal explanation. Rather than explaining meaning through words, the film relies on visual storytelling. Silence plays a major role. Viewers are left to observe, not interpret for them. This made the film controversial, but also widely discussed. It showed that encounters with Jesus in film don't always involve teaching, they can also involve witnessing. In more recent years, portrayals have shifted again. Films like Son of God present a balanced retelling of Jesus' life, focusing on teaching, compassion, and public interaction. These portrayals are designed for modern audiences, but remain rooted in the gospel narrative. Television series like The Chosen have taken a unique approach by focusing less on Jesus himself and more on the people who encounter him. The camera often stays on their reactions, their doubts, fears, and gradual understanding. Jesus is present, but he is not always the center of the frame. This storytelling choice highlights an important pattern seen across nearly all films about Jesus. The encounter is rarely about spectacle. It is about response. How does a fisherman react to being called? How does a parent respond to hope? How does a leader react to being challenged? Across decades of cinema, one thing remains consistent. Jesus is not portrayed as loud or forceful. He doesn't overwhelm scenes with dramatic action. His presence is steady, calm, and often understated. Filmmakers seem to understand that portraying Jesus as overly dramatic would miss the point. Another notable detail is that films almost never depict Jesus as isolated. Encounters happen in everyday spaces: roads, homes, fields, and shared meals. This reflects the biblical portrayal of Jesus as someone who lived among people, not apart from them. This approach makes these films accessible even to viewers who are not religious. You don't have to agree with every belief to observe how stories are told. These films can be viewed as historical drama, cultural reflection, or moral storytelling. From an artistic perspective, portraying Jesus is one of the most challenging tasks in cinema. Every expression, tone, and pause is scrutinized. That's why many directors choose restraint. Silence becomes a tool. Dialogue is used sparingly. The focus remains on human interaction. When you look across all these portrayals, a clear pattern emerges. Encounters with Jesus are shown as moments that invite thought, not forced conclusions. People are free to respond in different ways. Some accept, some reject, some remain uncertain. This mirrors the biblical accounts themselves. The Gospels record many encounters, but they rarely tell the reader exactly how to feel. They present the moment and allow reflection. In that sense, movies about Jesus are not just religious films. They are studies in human response, how people react to authority, compassion, challenge, and change. Whether someone watches these films for faith, history, or curiosity, the experience is similar. You are not rushed. You are not pressured. You are invited to observe. And perhaps that is why these portrayals continue to be made. Not because filmmakers believe they can fully capture Jesus on screen, but because the attempt itself invites reflection. In a world filled with noise and spectacle, these quiet cinematic encounters stand out. They remind viewers that sometimes the most powerful moments are not loud or dramatic, but thoughtful, restrained, and human. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If you enjoy calm, reflective explorations of history, culture, and storytelling, feel free to return anytime. We also have a daily shorts routine of posting untold facts about the life of Jesus, so consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel to stay posted. Amen.